time. Trust not the tale of the creeping vine. They lie, they lie. Oh, how they lie. Hear this truth and say to the lights in the sky, who am I? I am not, 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 I am not. It's the quality or state of being wise, knowledge of what is true or right, coupled with just judgment as to action, sagacity, discernment or insight. Who am I? I am wisdom. 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 The ability to act, to create, or affect, possession or control.
Peace, 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 and welcome into this space. Oh, look at my name there. It looks so weird. I am not Eden Yakira Eden. I am Ima Yakira Eden, and you are joining for another Anu Life Global Ministries Midday Affirmative. So, welcome to this space. Thank you for being here. Y'all might see that I'm looking a little different, so you're going to have to bear with me with these comments in the chat because I'm not wearing my glasses today. So before we even jump into acknowledging the chat, I just want to, of course, open this space by offering gratitude and reverence to our master architect, the one who, lovingly designed and fashioned us, Yah. And just offering gratitude to Yah, thankful with thankfulness for implanting a vision, a clear mind, a clean heart, and a desire for a pure walk. Affirming that this was the intention for our original creation, right? When we were originally formed and created. And this is what's possible for us each and every day as we strive and move in alignment with that original vision. As we knew every day strive for refinement and to align ourselves with the original vision, the original intention for us as a people, as a community. Of course, I thank you, Chief Yuya, for creating this space, for writing the Anu Way, for continually sifting and opening doors and pathways and portals for everyone who identifies with this charge, with this sound, to actually get here, right? And for the even for those who may have gotten here and decided to leave, I thank you for creating opportunities for them to return. Uh, yeah, because I recognize that I'm sure we all may recognize that the charge is never easy, right? And I don't think that it's ever promised as being easy. But if we know and can recognize that this is the formula, and this is the formula that works, and by this I mean how we govern ourselves, right? Our scriptural foundation and the Anuway foundation leads us down a specific path, particularly us as women. That watery energy can take us all over the place. And so the foundations allow us to have a sense of directedness. So thank you for providing that. I'm gonna attempt to go and like squint my way through this here good chat. Peace, Master Menelag. Greetings. Peace, Abaheru. Give thanks for being in the space. Peace, Imanaya. Peace, Jason Diep. Aki Jason. where are where are my glasses? Maybe you didn't see the. I know you saw Fellowship, so that's what my glasses are. Apparently, my brain works better without glasses. We gonna see. We gonna. I'm testing the theory here. I'm testing the theory. Um, Peace, brother Darian, and give thanks. Peace, Chuki. I give thanks for being in this space. Um, And of course, thank you to Akoti Yamina, who is in the background assisting me. So peace to you as well, and thank you. Just a bit of, will I call it housekeeping? If you want to join me here, well, let me just acknowledge that. Ah, my name is fixed. That's one acknowledgement. Give thanks for that, the magical work. Um, Also, Clubhouse apparently has switched up yet again, and there does not appear to be a button for me to create a conversation in Honor Life Global Ministries. Surprise! So, you know what that means? That means we have to continue to just flow where we can. And so instead of popping on with your beautiful voices, you can come on here. You don't have to come on camera, but if you do want to add to the conversation, you can just hit the link, which should be at the top here. Yeah, I'll show it. It's right at the top there. So if you hit that link, you'll be able to join me here. Um, so I'm just going to jump right into it. I can read the chat without my glasses. All this time you has been so no more glasses, and I knew no more glasses. Right. If you notice, I'm like this. If I'm gonna have to zoom in to read the chat. I'm gonna do my best. Let me tell y'all what I discovered. If I do this, I can see much clearer. I don't know what it is about doing that, but I can with the squint and a downward gaze. Okay, Imanaya. Yeah, so you do recall. Apparently, I think's better without glasses. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes today. Peace, Margie Marie Art. Thank you for joining. Greetings, Ima Aquia. Thank you for being in this space. Before I start, please, while there should need to be a reminder, we all can use one. Please be sure to share the live. And of course, like it, right? And I think everyone is subscribing. So just take a moment to share, right? So that we can generate more movement and dialogue. I'm just going to jump right into what is It Is Finished Part 2. because I did not finish during part one. It was such a robust conversation. And so I promised that I would come back to it and really dig into some other components of the vision and how we get to that finish line. Let's see who we have. Okay, peace, Abba Ross Kush in the chat. You know what the issue is? I can't see my own notes. So this is literally going to be like a ride. Okay. So essentially, it is finished as I shared 2 strongs ago. Getting to that, it is finished, is really based on holding a vision. And 2 strongs ago, what I did was open with sharing the highlights of the vision from the Anue Foundations. And there were 13 bullets. I'm not going to go through those 13 bullets, but you can definitely, and perhaps someone will even put it in the chat, go back and listen to that initial video so that you can get a sense of what I'm referring to if you happen to not have heard it the first time, if you didn't hear it the first time. But within the vision, what I touched on was the idea that having a vision sets your trajectory, right? It helps to establish where you're going. And without it, you're almost aimlessly walking towards, if you're even walking towards a particular finish line. Peace, Sovereign Needs, peace, Akoti Maria. And so today, what I want to start with, and I'm going to try to read it from my notes. Actually, I think I have a slide for it. I want to start with the vision from a quote from the Anu Way vision, the actual narrative. And it reads, when we are given a glimpse of the great vision of the Most High and we rebuff it, we will be rejected from the kingdom that holds the resurrected edict of the Creator. Our fellowship with one another should further advance us into the jurisdiction of the celestial kingdom. We rejoice in the shared vision that we commit ourselves to wholeheartedly. So I want to start with that last line, rejoicing wholeheartedly. And it actually, it made me think of whistling while we work, right? I touched on, again, those 13 points. And if you read through the vision for Anu, or if you're in a homestead, or if you're in Anu as a woman, you know the vision of your head, right? Or at least you know the pieces that have been shared with you. In scripture, we often see examples of different people, and I'm going to focus on some of the women because we touched on some of that during a recent build. There were different women I'll speak to that received a vision, that received instruction, and not always from their heads, sometimes from their heads, right? Sometimes from Yah, or from an angle or an angel delivering a message from the Most High. And if you're not a receptive vessel, then it's very difficult to take that vision and then actually begin to keenly watch for signs, because sometimes it's not even a matter of taking the ball and running with it, right? Which I did touch on 2 strongs ago. But sometimes it's something that, and Chief spoke on this in I think it was a podcast where he talked about vision and purpose. And oftentimes, if our purpose is hinged on, yeah, I want to do this thing, but it needs to be like this and like that, and it needs to be framed out in a particular way. We often will not get there. And the same would apply to walking towards or moving within a vision. If we're concerned with how daunting the task or how unrealistic it may appear, and I'm going to pull on the same story that I touched on during our fellowship builds. This Yom Shishi. Uh, I just think about Sarah and Abraham, and Sarah being told that she will, bring forth a seed, right? And how she laughed and did not believe that it were possible. And as the years went forward, didn't believe it so much so that she put her own plans in place, right? She walked in her own understanding and her own vision, and as opposed to, which actually created more confusion, right? Than abiding under the vision that was given to her in her head. Um, and so just kind of going back again to that quote that I just shared, I want to just highlight the piece that resonates right now, at least in what I'm discussing. When we are given a glimpse of the great vision of the Most High and we rebuff it, we will be rejected from the kingdom that holds that resurrected edict, right, of the Creator. I can't believe I'm reading this. Like, it's super small in my little font. Um, Our fellowship with one another shall further advance us into the jurisdiction of the celestial kingdom. And then the last line says, we rejoice in the shared vision that we commit ourselves to wholeheartedly. I'm focused on that rejoicing piece. Peace, Safta Ahava. Thank you. And remember to share the video. Um, I'm talking right now about the rejoicing and how it really made me think about something in the Anu way under conduct for the woman, Anu woman. And maybe if we can, yeah, thank you. So it says the Anu matriarch is industrious and performs her work with hands that are willing while she sings the praises of her master and Yah. The Anu woman does not toil begrudgingly, but completes her work with great delight and eagerness. So when completing our work with delight and eagerness, it to me it connects with that rejoicing, right? The rejoicing in having a shared vision. So any work that I'm doing as a woman in Anu is me reflecting the light that is given to me. So that should always be done with gladness and appreciation, because guess what? I have headship. I have a vision. I am directed. I know where I'm headed because that vision is given to me. And as I touched on last strong, we as the woman, we are the tactician. We have to figure out how this thing gets done. And there is, I don't know. For me, that is a lot of joy, because it's like, okay, can I do it this way? Can I do it that way? What about this? Let me research this other thing. And you get the opportunity to really explore and to be watery, right? To do exactly what our nature is designed to do, but to do it within parameters, because you're working within the parameters that are given to you by the visionary, right? By headship. And so it's like, okay, well, I'm not going to come on camera in red and purple today just because I'm feeling like wearing red and purple, because I know that the parameters are white and gold or black and silver. So therefore, that part is clear. But how I create or reflect the vision is still up to me. The same for these messages. There are parameters and expectations about how I'm to conduct myself on camera, but how I get it done, right? Or the what is clear, but how I go about doing it is, it ebbs and flows, and you'll see that reflected through each brother and sister who presents on camera. We each have our own style and approach for delivering information. Um, yeah. So as a woman in Anu, if we are conducting ourselves and aligning with the vision, there really is no opportunity for, or space even, for murmurs or complaints, right? Or even to do it begrudgingly, as it's stated, because ultimately we should be clear on how we actually receive value, right? How our value increases by way of our ability to deliver, to get to the it is finished. I'm using that word deliver intentionally, right? Because as the Anu womb, we're acknowledging that there is something consistently being planted in us, right? There's something that's being planted in us, and our charge is to gestate and to multiply it and to make more of it. And oftentimes, especially, I'm way up in age. So that's not going to be gestating within my womb, a fetus, right? That's going to be gestating in my womb thoughts, instructions, intentions, and making sure that I don't just sit on it or sit in it and allow it to kind of just die out, but rather that I deliver something that is a reflection of the original idea that's given to me by the visionary, but that it is more, right? It is multiplied. And that's important. Um, that cannot happen effectively, though, if the desire isn't there. If there isn't, and actually, I wouldn't even say desire. I would say the excitement, the gratitude for even receiving instruction and vision and being in a position to gestate and to bring something forward. Um, so I want to just ask, and I'll pose the question now. Let me just see. Okay. Uh-oh. Um, I want to just pose a question to you all regarding a vision. A vision, and this question is for the men and the everyone in the space. If you can share a vision that or instructions that you were given or a vision that you received um, recently, a recent vision, and the steps you've taken towards getting to that finish line. Um, I'm asking, yeah, I'm asking because I wanna pull on a thread. I want to pull on that thread. And yeah, I'm not going to tell you what the thread is, but please, if you don't mind sharing in the chat or coming on and just speaking to some instructions that you received lately and how you moved with those instructions, whether you took your time, yeah, and thank you, it's there in the chat, or how immediately you begin to look at how it can be implemented and what steps you need to take to implement it. Yeah. Um, I'll go into actual definitions, right? So when we look at vision in scripture, the actual word for vision is chazon, right? And chazon actually speaks to more than just a like vision. It speaks to sight or being or seeing or even a knowing. And I'm going to focus more on that knowing piece because oftentimes, and I referenced this scripture before, but I'm going to pull on it again. Oftentimes, we may look at ourselves and only see what's lacking. And that's actually the trick, right? Everything in Western culture tells us you're too tall, you're too fat, you're too this, you're too that, and you may very well be those things, right? You may very well be all of the twos that we're told in social media, but often don't need the tool that is being offered, right? So that's the difference. Um, they'll tell you, I don't know, I have menstrual hygiene on my mind, and maybe that's because, I'm really, really excited. I'll just do the plug right now. I'm really excited about the Red Wrap event that's coming up here in North Carolina. Will be there. It is. So there is the menstrual hygiene drive, which is coming in August, September 24th and September. Oh my gosh. Let me try this one more time. The menstrual hygiene drive, which is on May 24th and May 26th, respectively. If you want to send in donations, you can go to the Amazon wish list, which there's a link there, or you can actually send donations directly to the Diaper Bank of North Carolina. But while thinking of menstrual hygiene, often the commercials will, especially when I was younger, um, it told you that your menses was something that you do not want. You do not want it. It is shameful. It is something you want to plug up. You want to live your life and be free to swim in the swimming pool and to engage in every activity that you would engage in every other day, right? Any other day, I should say. And I know there's an imaginary delay, but I also know, hold on. Oh, did I do that right? I think there's a guest. I don't know how to add you. So let's see if you're added in. There you
Peace,
go.
peace, everyone. Did
Peace,
I?
peace.
Okay, well, I look. I'm kind of blind with you today, so we twinning on the
Well,
live.
welcome, 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 welcome. Did you want to jump in and share anything, or were you just like figuring out how it all works?
I wanted to share, but it does something weird when you tap in onto the link. So I didn't know where you were in conversation. So I don't want to overstep if you're still, finishing your thoughts.
Sure. Okay. So I'll finish the thought on menstrual hygiene and then you can jump right in. So essentially, what I was saying, and you can jump in on this as well. What I was speaking to is the trick bag in Western culture regarding um, how we perceive being prepared. We're often told we're to something, but whatever that something is, or even I was using the example of a young lady having her menses, and I'll say myself, back in the day, maybe 20 years ago, the commercials really vilified the menses, right, as something that you do not want. And as a result, it created this narrative of you needing all of these products. So it almost perpetuates the you need things outside of yourself in order to navigate. And I pulled on this scripture last strong. It's 2 Corinthians 8 and 12 in particular, where it says, "For if there be first a willing mind, it is acceptable according to that a man hath, and not according to that he hath not." And I focused on it is accepted according to that a man hath, and not according to that he hath not. So often we'll say, we're given a vision and we'll say, I don't have the skills. I don't have the intellect. I don't have the whatever. Aki Zach talks about, Chief Yuya telling him, you're going to speak, right? You need to moderate. And he's like, I don't have anything to say. Unless I'm reading somebody else's notes, I don't have anything to say. Yet we see where he is today with moderating like impeccably. So I wanted to just kind of hold space for that while everyone was responding. So jump right in and welcome, Margie Marie.
Thank you for holding space, and I'm very grateful that this is the topic today. I literally got excited when I hopped on and I heard what you were speaking about, because it was like, wow, this was, something that I was coming into a space of realizing this strong. Um, but I can definitely agree with what you're saying in terms of sometimes we look at ourselves and we see where we lack. We are given gifts of vision, and something as simple as I know for me, a job, being put into a job position where I didn't have any formal training, and I didn't know this realm of work. Yet, I kept looking at it like, oh, how am I gonna be successful in this? I don't know anything about this line of work, and this is not my background, and I don't know what the heck these people are talking about, these words they're using. And sometimes it's like learning that you have to get out of your own way. You know what I mean? And you get to that point where you realize, okay, for things to be being orchestrated the way that they are, it's a purpose. You have a purpose. There's something else that you have to do, and it's not about what you want to do or what you can do or what you can't do. It's like realizing that, I mean, this is an opportunity for you to do the work of the Most High. You don't know why you're placed in the spaces that you're placed in, and realizing like this is an opportunity for you to learn and grow. So it's not about, do you have this or do you have that? It's just seeing it as an opportunity, like, okay, I'm gaining something and I'm going to take this back and utilize it to help, you know, build the vision that the Most High has for me, or he has, for his kingdom. So I would say perspective. I'm always going back to perspective, but learning to change your perspective and how you see things and how things are being orchestrated, really paying attention. So, and putting your glasses on. That's I be losing my glasses sometimes, but
Or taking them off. Or taking
when
them off, right?
you put your glasses on, things start to get a little bit more clear. So
Yes, peace. Oh, and peace. Oh, okay, we got more people in the space. Okay, Master Mentalek is buffering a little bit, so welcome. And let's see, I wonder if I could change the view. Let's see if that happens, because the view looks a little strange. But there we go. See, just magical things happen. Peace, and welcome into this space, Master Mentalek. I just want to touch on some of what Margie Marie just shared. I really appreciate that you opened with, acknowledging the gift of vision, because it is a gift, right? Whether we're talking sight, like literal sight, it is if you've ever had an instance where you see flutters, where you may I don't know, there are times when I'll acknowledge that I'm actually visually impaired in one eye, and so if I lean, or like I do exercises where I'll cover my really strong eye to see what I can still see out of the weaker eye, it reminds me of how much of a gift vision is, because it's often taken for granted. So even that literal vision is a gift, but even the more, that divine vision, right? And as women, we get that divine vision most clearly and most importantly through our head. And the gift there is really that gift that we're being charged with moving along a certain line. And I would agree that maintaining that perspective is often the key. And yeah, whether glasses are on or off, we often can get a different sense of how we can get to that end goal. So yeah. So thank you for that. Peace, Master Mentalek, did you wanna jump in?
Sure. Peace, everyone. Peace, sisters. How you doing?
peace.
What you were saying, what both of you were saying, I thought were key to what I wanted to share when you brought up the question. I started typing, but I was like, you know what? Let me just hop on. Right. But what Sister Margie Marie was sharing, I've definitely had that sort of perception of being on any type of job or anything like that. Like I don't know, I always get called in to do something I'm not used to doing. And over time, I realized that everyone's still figuring it out. It's not just me coming in and thinking that everyone has this complete knowledge based on them just being there prior to me being there, and I have to catch up and perfect this thing before the usual imposter syndrome. Like, people are gonna find out I'm a fraud, and I don't know what I was hired for. I wasn't maybe I wasn't screened properly. I just slipped through the cracks, and they're gonna find out and get rid of me. And you realize over time that you do have the skills. You may not have put it on paper when you apply, and you may not even you may not have been put in a position where you had a chance to display those skills or explore those skills. You're being given an opportunity to explore a different part of yourself. And if you try to stunt that or block that, you're stunting and blocking that cognition or that vision. And we do it in other areas of our lives too, whether it's a certain type of person who we may have historically had trouble dealing with. Like, I always have difficulty dealing with people who try to talk over you. I don't have a loud voice, so I usually I'll let you tire yourself out, and once you run out of the talking points, then I'll talk, and I'll do it that way just so I don't exhaust myself. But you learn different aspects of yourself as well, when it comes to your talents and your gifts and what's been gifted to you. So what came to mind for me when you asked the question was about the Anu Basics classes that we have, right? The ABCs. And I did them, and I go back to them every now and then, but I don't take the time to study them. I didn't take the time to study them how we did it initially. It wasn't until like around, I think like a month, like right after the month of Ramadan, I had like 2 or 3 people come to me asking me about Islam. And it's like out of the blue.
Pop quiz, right?
Right. So it was a friend of mine who had asked me during a previous Ramadan. Like, he didn't know the season, but he asked me about it. And then it was a cousin who would call me out of the blue, and she had asked me about it, and we spoke about it. And I sent her the movie that Aki Al-Karar had shared with us, when he was teaching that course. And I was like, okay, I keep getting called back to these basics classes. And it's like, okay, I should revisit them and maybe internalize them a bit more, and synthesize them. Because we've been given so much, like you were saying, right? We've been given so many gifts and so much information. And it's similar to your example of being without glasses. And I can relate because I have a similar issue. Like, this eye this has worse vision than the other one.
3
So
blind.
if I do this, there's like 6 Ima Yakiri Edens. So if I don't have the opportunity to open this eye, like if I get a piece of dust or something stuck in this eye, I miss the times when I could see out of this eye. I said, you remember when you could see clearly? When you had both eyes. Remember that? So right. I was thinking about it this morning. Like, you should really embrace the fact that you have an opportunity to study these things. Mm-hmm. You have this information that can help you to see properly, and you should be compassionate towards the people who may not be privy to the information and share it with them. As opposed to saying, well, I'm not qualified to share it, or I don't know enough, or I got to go back to study. And whatever you can share, it helps. And it helps even more if you say, listen, don't take my word for it and think that's all there is to it. Or don't take my word for it, slap that together with a Google search, and then think you're done. It's much deeper than that. You help people to understand that there's a method to studying, and there's a level of searching and scholarship and discernment. Like we were talking about Shabbat. there's a level of discernment that goes into your study, because there's a lot of information out there, and not everything that's online in black and white is correct. So even helping people to see things that way, you're helping them with their vision. All right, you're helping them with their levels of discernment, and just stepping back and having that conversation with the cousin who had contacted me. This was Yom Shishi. This was Friday, right? And she was like, "Okay, I have a much clearer understanding now." And I asked a couple of questions that made a step back, because she had originally asked me about making salat, like staying as king. I was like, "Why you want to do that?" Okay, what's Islam? What's Ramadan? So we go down the list, and you go through the history of it, and you go through different perspectives, and you go through different like you have Shia, you have the Sunni. It's like the different aspects of it.
Sects, yeah,
And if you,
different sects, yeah.
right. So if you're just coming into it, there's a level of humility that you need to have, because you may not realize how vast that body of information could be. So that was one of the things that that was what I wanted to share in reference to your question in terms of the vision or instruction that you would receive. It was like, get your basics down. You might not be near your device to go back over your slides, so you guys gotta be
in you.
Yeah, like our good brother Akizak said, 5 years old. Gotta be in you, not on you. All right, so I'm gonna mute up.
Right, there we go. Chief Yuya has said. There you go. There you go. All quotes. Get that.
Oh, okay,
all
that's
quotes.
who said it. Yeah. I thought it was the other. I thought it was the other guy.
Yeah, the other bald guy with the beard, right? It's one of them. It's one of them. Well, thank you for that offering, Master Menelek. I was actually jotting down a bunch of notes. I'm going to start with one of the last things you said, humility. And you approached it from that studious humility, right? I'm actually, when you said it, I thought of how we rebuff, right? I'm going to keep pulling on the quote that I shared in Conduct. How when we rebuff that vision, how it really comes from a very ego-driven place, right? It's the least humble. And even just taking it back to the share about Sarah, it was so egotistical, right? To say, yeah, I hear what you're telling me. But when I look at when my physical eyes look at my physical being, I'm old. And I don't see any people around me producing heirs to any throne, much less a nation at my age. So let me go ahead and put this other plan in place. That is the opposite of humility, right? As opposed to falling on your face and just saying, thank you so much for giving me this divine vision, right? For giving me this divine revelation, because that's in fact one of the definitions. If you look up, I love, and I'll share my source, I love Blue Letter Bible, because it gives a bunch of different transliterations and definitions for the Hebrew words, way beyond just Strong's. And what I appreciate, and I'm actually looking at my notes, is that in the Hebrew Chaldean lexicon, it actually talks about that word for vision, chazak, being also a divine, yes, chazon. I just said it completely wrong. A divine vision, right?
Did you say
Or
calzone?
I did. Minus the L. Chazon.
Okay.
So I gotta call my Sean Mason in here because he can get the in there. But that divine vision or divine revelation, and when I was digging into that idea of divine revelation, even when I wouldn't say even, no matter who's delivering that vision, that revelation, and it can come through so many ways. Like Margie Marie touched on, getting an opportunity to do a particular job, right? And I believe both of you are artists, right? So it's like maybe it's not your within your wheelhouse, right? Like I don't know much about art, but it's like, okay, maybe you're a sketch artist and they want watercolors, right? So I'm assuming those are two different kind of, different wheelhouses or a different niche maybe. And so you may be scratching your head like, how am I supposed to do this? Like, do they not know that I am a sketch artist? Um, but as I listened to both of you share, I also had to consider that divine revelation, how we are to reflect the many facets of Yah. And it's not about what we think we can do, but really foregoing the physical. I can, or I know I can, or my training tells me that I can, or I have this degree, so therefore I must be able to, but actually resting really freely in Yah's presence and glorifying Yah. Um, I remember, I mean, I feel like I've been doing this for like this online, like talking here thing for a long time. But for most of that time, I would consistently get very, very nervous before each and every live, no matter how prepared I was. And Chief said it to me a couple of times, but it was like the last time he said it. It was, what are you doing it for? Like what about going on live makes you nervous? And it actually, he didn't even post the question. It was more of a statement. And the statement was, if your intention is to go on and to reflect whatever Yah is bringing forward, then there's nothing to be nervous about. And it even took me to we had an opportunity to have a communal build with all of the brothers and sisters in our new yesterday. And towards the end, something that Chief had to remind us of was a question about where our faith is. Where is your faith? Because if your faith is, and a faith again is a knowing, if your knowing is that you're going to be divinely appointed and given everything you need, as long as you're walking on purpose and you're abiding in the law, then you're putting that one foot in front of the other, recognizing that provisions have already been made, right? And it's not about looking down or looking back and questioning whether you have it together. It's recognizing that if this is the divine vision that's been implanted in you, then all you have to do is be. All you have to do. So whether it's that job, listen, I have gotten jobs where I'm like, I know I applied, but word?
I did not get it.
You gonna let me do this? And then you do it, and it's like, oh wow, I'm actually good at this. And then you know what? These other parts I'm not good at, but I'm going to strategically make sure that I have the right people in place and give them what they need, right? The best of what I have is going to cultivate and fill in the spots that they may be deficient in. And together we'll be this collective body. And that even makes me think of Anu and our community and how we each have a very distinct, even those of us that you all see on camera, and there are so many more that you don't see as often, but we each have a distinct charge and a distinct role. And we may do it with knees knocking, but
Still
charge
do
forward. Yeah, charge forward we must, because come 12 o'clock. So I got to be on here.
it. What you're saying, it brought me back to a space of this dawning, just being in the kitchen and reflecting. And I was reading through poems or songs. I always say poems, being funny, but songs. And I thought about, sometimes in life we are charged with the vision of love, right? We're supposed to love others who may be in a space where they cannot love themselves, or they can't, love others. And sometimes we take offense to the things that they do, and we withhold love from them. And I don't know, anyone else has ever experienced that, but you get to a place where you go into just saying, I'm sorry, Most High, I withheld love from people that you had given me the vision to love. You know what I mean? Like, but I wanted to think of myself and my ego, and they did this to me, and I'm not gonna give them love in spite of. And there was a scripture in Psalms that I read that it was like very clear that the Most High loves you regardless of, you sin, he still loves you. So when you think about that, it's like, how could I not do what it is you're asking me to do, for others and to love others? That's the vision that you've given me. Who am I to think that my feelings are, more important than doing what you've asked me to do? And so I don't know, you guys just took me there and started thinking about that. So
Yeah, absolutely. We often create reasons for why, right? As soon as something becomes a little uncomfortable, or you're not getting right, you're not getting that, I'll do it if, right? You're not getting your if. You're not getting your requirement met. So therefore, you're no longer actually walking in that divine vision. You're not walking with the charge, right? You're not leading with that God force, with that Yah's presence. You're not reflecting in that moment anything other than the physical, the I want, the what I want. And that scripture that you're referencing, that's again Yah's reminder of what you've already received, right? And if that's what you've received, you're not receiving it to go like live all by yourself and to be solitary, right? We're here to have this human experience. We're here to ping off of one another and to be these many iterations and reflections of the Most High together, right? You in most instances you can't be alone if you wanna.
you could
So
try.
right. I mean, as an imam, it's like I can't. It's like, can I get in the bathroom? I could say, oh, they see me with my tablets. They know the you have a live hustle, right? There's a hustle. I walk around the house and I got to get my water and all my supplies together. And they're like, oh, you got a live? Yes, at 12. At 11:57, mommy, can you pass me such and such? Come on. Can I get a minute? But it's like recognizing that love is our ability to connect, right? We get there through connecting with one another, choosing to negate yourself, choosing to pull back and to not love, to not connect because of another person is the opposite of what the charge is. So yeah, thank you for that, for bringing that perspective, that angle.
That's
Absolutely.
funny. I thought it was just me. Well, my phone would ring exactly 3 minutes before I gotta go live. It's like, you don't know what time it is. It's like you don't know. I get it. Like on those all enlightenment and transformation segments with Chief would be like, don't you know Sunday?
Right.
Tuesday,
Don't you got my
bro?
schedule down yet?
Right.
Right. Like, why aren't you ready for the live? That's what I really want to know.
Right. But my phone is usually on silent by then, so I just watch it ring. It's like, they'll figure it out. What you both were sharing, it reminded me of Exodus, when the children of Israel were about to cross the Red Sea, and it's Exodus 14. And start from verse 10. I just wanted to read that right quick. And when Pharaoh drew nigh, the children of Israel lifted their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them, and they were sore afraid. And the children of Israel cried out unto Yahuwah, and they said unto Moses, because there were no great, they really, like, that's how you know these melanated people, because they're so sassy and sarcastic. And they said unto Moses, because there were no graves in Egypt, hast thou taken us away to die in the wilderness? Wherefore hast thou dealt thus with us, to carry us forth out of Egypt? Is not this the word that we did tell thee in Egypt, saying, Let us alone, that we may serve the Egyptians? For it had been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we should die out here in the wilderness. And Moses said unto the people, Fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of Yahuwah, which he will now show you today. For the Egyptians whom ye are seeing today, ye shall see them again no more forever. And Yahuwah shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Meanwhile, Yahuwah is like, Yahuwah said to Moses, Wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward. And he tells them, basically to lift up your rod. But it's like, what y'all, I'm working. I'm working it.
I'm busy here. Right. Quit it.
Still doing crying. I told y'all what to do.
Right.
I already told you what to do. So what you're crying for. So all part of the plan, and it's all part of the plan thing. Is sometimes we take it as someone being on empty when they picked you up, and y'all been driving for like 30 minutes, and you're in past 3 or 4 gas stations, and they're like, "I know my car." That's how it feels. You're like, you sure you like? Why don't you just stop with the gas? I don't want to be stranded on the side of the road pushing a car with you. That's how it is.
But you getting a ride. Getting the ride, right?
Getting a free ride.
Where is your faith? Right. Where's your faith? It's funny. I learned my lesson a long time ago with that. I have an uncle that was like he just drove all the time, and I would ride with him a lot when I could. But he also built and rebuilt cars and he did all kind of fun things with cars, which often meant we would be driving in the car that didn't always have all of the parts working, but they worked in a way that he knew we could get from A to B, right? And this one particular car, I was driving. We were driving to Atlanta, so I was taking my turn. It was when I was actually learning how to drive. So this was in my early 20s. And the gas, the gauge to tell you how much gas you had.
It didn't work.
It not working. And so I don't realize it until I'm driving, and I'm like, man, this thing has been on a quarter tank for a long time. But what I did notice is that before we swapped seats, he wrote something down. I learned what he did was he wrote down the odometer reading. So he knew how much gas there was in that tank. He knew when we would need to fill up again. What I also didn't know is he also had, I guess, a reserve of gas just in case, right? But as I'm driving, I'm continually asking, like, should I stop? Should I pull over? Should I get some more gas? Until he finally said, listen, you want to drive? Drive. If you don't want to drive, get back in the back seat and go back to sleep. And at that time, when you don't have your license, you always want to drive. So I was just like, all right, we just going to drive until the car seizes up on the highway. But again, how that's like me looking at, you know what? It's as simple as me looking at the instruction. And yes, it might have been said in jest, but when it said, it said. If it said to me, which I've been told before, why are you doing yoga with your glasses on? Why are you don't need your glasses to do a lot. So I think I may have tried to do it without glasses before. And I was like, I cannot do it. But this last time during the Yom Shishi build, I just said, you know what? All right. How many times am I going to be given these instructions? I flub words reading with my glasses on. So I will probably flub even more, and that's okay. But I'm going to be obedient to the instruction given, right? Because it doesn't always come like a lightning bolt. And that's where
Right.
oftentimes I'll say, especially us watery, tricky women, and maybe you can speak to it from the men's perspective, Master Men-elect, but that's where we begin to dance around those instructions. Oh, I thought you were just suggesting that right, you see the
Okay, I thought you were saying
right. Oh, I
wait.
thought it was an option when you said don't do, you could do this. You could do this.
Mhm.
Like, no, it is what it is. I said what
I
I
said what I, right. There you
said.
go. I
Do
said
it.
what I said. Right. And it's kind of like, for us, the head is taking time, and Chief touched on this during my previous share, taking time away from other things to give instruction, to reflect light, for me to then obscure it and say, oh, I thought you meant I could just do whatever I wanted to do. Which then is again a negation of that light, a negation of, well, I'm negating the light that's being shown upon me. So I want to stay in chaos. I want to stay creating chaos. No, that's not the divine vision. Not oftentimes. There is time for that, right? But it's not all the time.
Right. And that goes back to what you had shared earlier about rebuffing, right? Because you're given the vision by someone who's done the calculations. You know, like your uncle wrote it down and he's like, all right, we have this amount of mileage. You don't know what he wrote down, and you don't need to know. Just drive. I made it to your house, didn't I?
Knowledge. I
How often
understand.
do you, yeah. Knowledge with some understanding. How often do you hear about me running out of gas?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? So don't worry about that. Just drive. I told you to drive, just drive. Don't get in my car telling me how my car works.
Right.
You know, I had a car that had a similar issue. This was one of my first cars, but I had a similar issue where the gas gauge didn't work, and it didn't have the best brakes.
Dun, dun, dun.
You know, and I have to feel it out. It's like, okay, because there's a leak in like where the brake fluid would go through, so I had to get that fixed. But I still had stuff to do because like I know how to drive it. I just don't drive it often. You know, I know if I get in the car and pump the brakes a couple of times and it don't feel too solid, it feels
Right. It's
soggy.
spongy. It feels spongy. I
Yeah,
know that
just
bad brake
put
feeling.
some brake fluid in it, right? Spent a lot of money on brake fluid because of that car. But it's like I knew the car and I knew how to calculate it. I knew how long it took me to stop. I knew how long it could go without refilling it, you know, and I knew how far to push it before I needed to take my head back home. You know, but again, just rebuffing the vision. The calculations have been done. You know, what are you crying out to me for? Just do what I told you to do.
To do.
You know what I mean? But with me, with the glasses piece, because I in the earlier segments, a long time ago, I used to wear glasses too, right? And I had to take them off because when I went to a checkup, they was like, "Oh, these aren't really working for you." But I used to be like, if y'all remember, y'all could have seen my nose hairs. I was like, okay, so and so's in the chat. Peace, so and so. You know, I mean, reading everything wrong, skipping lines, and going back and reread the script. I knew I was learning. I didn't come into it like, oh, I'm super producer. I'm Mr. Producer. You know what I mean? I didn't come into it like I've been doing this. It's like, yo, this is y'all just seeing me for the first time. I just seeing y'all for the first time. We can just go for the ride. I kept hearing Chief's voice, you know, like, go for the ride. You know, and once you get into your points and you start talking, you realize, oh, my hands aren't shaking anymore. You know, I know my arms are actually dry now, even though there's a little soggy earlier. You know, they're a little dry now. But you're moving with that vision, and you realize the only thing that really had you afraid, or the only thing that was threatening to you, was what you conjured up in your own mind, and it's typically it's not included in the vision you were given. You know, like the scripture, I've not given you a spirit of fear.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
It makes me think also, like, I don't know if, like, when you're a kid and your parents tell you not to do something, or because they're giving you guidance and direction. And I don't know if y'all, like, I was as a child, was always, why, but how come, but and I learned over time, because sometimes your parents, they can see further than you can see. You know what I mean? And they're trying to stop you from going into danger, or and they already have the vision that they know what they want your life to be, or the direction you should go. You don't know all the
Mhm.
time, so
Exactly. And it's not for you to know,
Mhm.
and that's another important piece to reflect as women is, we're not we're not, right? I'll just say it plain. We are not going to get a whole rundown on here's the playbook, here's every play in the playbook, this is what you're going to do, this is what I got, this is the master vision. You may get, okay, today you're going to work on this.
That's it.
That's it.
That's
And
it.
I know I pulled on this example. Actually, I'm going to pause. I'm going to pause literally in the middle of my sentence because I want to get to some of the comments in the chat. Thank you, Abba Ross Kush, for answering the question. I want to say you're the only answer in the chat. So I want to thank you for that. Even though it looks like we have 11 people watching, it's gone between 11 and 16. And I'm calling that out because there's no answers. So it says answer a vision. Oh, I can see it better down here. Give thanks for that. A vision of prosperity and expansion to my kingdom has been revealed to me. I have taken steps to acquire very important resources that allow me to strengthen my foundation. Okay, so that's the vision, and that's what you do. Also, resources have been shared with me, and I seemingly come out of, and they seemingly come out of the woodwork. Okay. I'm still taking steps on improving the efficiency of my kingdom. Right. As managing resources reveals to me what needs strengthening to be able to sustain even larger amounts of productivity. Absolutely. And as we know, when we do with the little bit, right, when we can multiply the little, we are entrusted with more. And that's spiritually, that's physically, that's literally, that's metaphorically speaking. The more you're giving, the more you're pouring out. Like even in Master Menelek's example, he studied, right? He went back and he realized, okay, I have some of this. I have some of the Anu basic class information because I was studious. And so the little bit that I had, I was able to share and pour out, which then means, wait, I have to fill up even more. Peace, Ima. I have to fill up even more so. And even connecting that to anytime we thank Chief, myself, I've heard him say it. Where did she go? I've heard him say it many times. It's like, how can I, I thank you. How can I repay you, or what can I do? And our instructions are the same, to share it, to share the information, right? Each one teach three. So that is how we keep, as we pour out, the vessel is, number one, there's a cleansing that happens through that cycle of emptying out. If you think about a vessel that just perpetually collects water and it becomes very stagnant, whereas if you're constantly pulling water out and then it's refilled, it stays a little cleaner, right? Because that keeps that water agitated and moving more freely. Ima Kuya, peace, welcome. We can see the tippy top of your head. I'm not sure if you want to re-angle or if you're frozen.
I think she's ziplining.
She may. Okay, we'll
Can
wait
you
for you
see
to.
me?
We can't see you at all. You may be frozen. We
Can
see
you
the
see me?
trees and no, we hear you though. So come on in with your voice. We just see the top of your head. There we go. Now we see you.
Oh, she landed. Okay, cool.
She's frozen. Yeah, you're lagging a little. but we can hear you.
Let me just turn my okay, peace. Yeah.
No, actually, you sound like you sound like a
Okay.
robot, Ema.
Ziplining in the Matrix.
You ziplining in the matrix.
Let
You
me
may want to come out and come back in.
try.
Yeah, but that's
Yeah.
what happens when you're in nature, though. That's not the worst problem to have.
No.
You like see a solid spot.
It's reminding you that, we don't need those. We don't need that kind of technology. There's a different kind of technology in nature that actually impedes, right? That imbalancing 4, 5, 6G. So that's a cool thing. But yes, let's see. Oh, and then Chief Yuya, I think it was shared earlier. He said he drove a car for 8 months with he's mentioned that before, with no front brakes, right? Just work the clutch and the parking brake. So I'm gonna actually share another story time. So, peace, Chief Yuya. Welcome.
Peace, dude.
I'll go ahead, jump in whatever. Sure. Would you like to? I was gonna share my story. I'll wait though.
No, share your whatever you're getting ready to share.
Yes. So it's just my clutch stories. And I guess it also may connect to, I may have even shared this already. So y'all might be able to be like, you said that already. I was picking up a car that my uncle had gifted me with. But what I didn't know was that the car was a stick shift. So I get there with my brother, and I had only recently learned to drive and got my driver's license. So I went with my brother, and I'm all excited at the car shop picking up the car. And the guy says, "There's a car." And I get in. I'm like, how do I work this? Like, what's happening here? And he goes, "Oh, your uncle didn't tell you it's a stick shift?" Again, I could have hopped back in the cab, the taxi, and gone home because I don't know how to drive stick. But I'm not built that way, right? And so it was a car. And so he offered to teach me how to drive. And again, it does connect a bit to, I would say it does connect to vision. It does connect with that, don't focus on what you have not, right? Focus on what you do have. I had a driver's license. I had access to a vehicle that is to be mine if I can get it home. And home was literally going from Brooklyn to Queens on the Belt Parkway or the Conduit, depending on how I got there, which is the side street.
Right, because we're all from New York.
No, that's why I said the side street. So there's like a main highway.
I don't know what none of that means.
Okay, so there's a main parkway, which is multiple lanes, right, with no lights, or the side streets, which there are lights, but it'll still get you from one borough to the next. So thank you for that, right? Right. You may know, but others may not know. So he took me around the block and he gave me an orientation, and he just told me, think of it like Simon says, and Simon is the clutch. And you don't do anything without consulting the clutch. So he drove me around, then I drove myself around, and then somehow my brother and I found our way home until we got to the hill. Stick shift cars roll on the hill, especially when you take your foot off of the brake. And that was when Faith had to come in, because I just learned how to balance the heck out of that clutch to brake to gas. No, it was clutch to gas. Yeah. That clutch to gas ratio to where I could keep the car stable enough and allow the cars in front of me to pull off far enough that when the light changed and I would come off of the brakes, I wouldn't be afraid of rolling back. What I would do is slam on the gas and take off. So that's my clutch story. Being a speed demon as usual.
So you burn your clutch out.
I didn't experience that, but
yeah, because it wasn't your car.
Exactly.
It was my car. I was responsible for it.
That car was
probably 20 minutes.
Right.
Right, until I called my uncle. Yeah.
Uncle, there's smoke coming from the thingy.
Yeah. That's
From the
exactly
thingy.
right.
Well, I was just gonna answer the question. You said no one had really answered it, other than Abaras. So vision, the Most High gave you, right? Were we supposed to see the vision? Like, I don't remember the original question. Did it happen?
Yeah, it was just asking about a vision that you received and how you've taken steps towards it.
Got you. All right. So I would have gave you the wrong thing. All right. Um so yeah, let's see. Shoot. I mean, it's really a yeah, I don't know, let me think. Let me sit down here. Let me think about what I
What have I seen lately?
yeah,
Go
well,
down the list.
exactly. Let me look out the window. Bad kids.
Give me something to drink out the fridge. Let me think about it.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, really, it is like a daily thing, though. I mean, to be honest, not to be abstract or philosophical about it, but we don't have a thought. Thoughts are images, so whenever you have a thought about anything, you craft the image, and even though we know that the mind doesn't have eyes per se, but we use so much language that refers to the mind as seen. We say, oh, what's your viewpoint on this? What's your perspective on this? How do you see this? And those are all things that speak to a vision that exists within the psyche. So I mean, it's kind of a it's sort of an everyday thing. I could say, as far as steps, it's if you're practicing mindfulness, then everything you do is going to be for the fulfillment of those images that your best thoughts have created. So it's pretty much a all the time thing. Um, oh, I could think of what, actually there's a bunch. Actually, now I'm thinking about it. Right. So when I was younger, much younger, I always saw I always saw a day when my people would be able to laugh and smile freely because they would be able to recover some of what had been taken from them by way of the Ma'afa, or the transatlantic people trade, right? So that was always something that was in my head, man. Like, one day we're gonna get ours. One day this is gonna happen. One day we're gonna be more politically aware. One day we're not gonna be so culturally ignorant. These are the things that I had in my mind. And I guess when you're building anything, and you're trying to apply some logical thought to an idealized reality, and not trying to be so philosophical where it's not real, or so arrogant where you become lazy, and like lazy in your thinking, like, oh, it's just gonna happen. Like you said, yeah, you start to put certain things into place. So that's when I started to really take my fighting more seriously, right? So it wasn't just about, because as a young person, I was talented at certain things, but I started to lay those things out and make determinations as to if they were valuable to the vision, you know. And if they weren't, then I didn't really give them. It was just like, oh, well, that's just another thing I could do, but I ain't really thinking about that because we need this, So um when I was younger, there was convers because I was a big child, conversations around, man, you'd be an amazing football player, man. You got the big shoulders and da. Yeah, but we don't need that. And it would always be these things, when I was fighting, it was like, yeah, man, you got really quick hands and you're really powerful and all that. Yeah, but we got a lot of boxers, and I'll never be as good as Muhammad Ali or George Foreman. Like, so I don't really care for that. But there may come a time, or will come a time, based on this vision, where my people will need to know not only how to be prepared to defend themselves, but also to feel the confidence that comes in knowing that you're prepared, because you think differently when you know you're prepared. And sometimes what your preparedness is for, like, I'm prepared to get knocked out, you know like it's not always the again, the arrogance and the ego is like, "Man, I could beat anybody up." No, I've been hit hard. I've been training. I've been hit hard. I know how it feels. I know I don't like it, But I know after I get hit hard, I'll get back and I'll be all right. I'll be sore, maybe swollen or whatever's going to happen. But it's just the reality of life, right? Okay. So that's your training is a part of that too, having that level of vulnerability. So my training began to take directions that were more sensitive to that vision, as far as that step. So I trained in a lot of knife fighting. I trained in a lot of close quarters fighting, because at the time living in New York, it's like, okay, we're going to be getting it on in elevators. We're going to be getting it on in stairwells. Even if you're on the streets, um, there's all these dangerous things around you. Like you get in the fight in the streets, man, there's fire hydrants. You could like, you fall back on a fire hydrant, break your whole spine. You know, there's cars, you get slammed through somebody's car window. Like there's all these dangerous things. So the fight has to happen in very close quarters and you have to know how to stay on your feet. So I learned ground fighting. If we go to the ground, how can I get up quick? Because New Yorkers like to wear boots and everybody jumps in, even grandmothers. Grandmothers be hitting you with their walker. They find a little opening, a little poke opening in between the stomping area. Like, oh, there we go. There's a loose part. Let me put my cane in there, right? So you got to learn how to, so all of these different things that were significant to where I thought we were going, even in terms of the spirituality. Okay, we got to know how to spiritize. It's cool to know how to fight. We got to know how to spiritize. Um, when I was younger and I went off to college, I was a pre-law major, because engineering and pre-law. But my whole idea was like, law is another form of martial sciences because a lot of us get railroaded because we don't know what to do inside of these star chambers. They're not really courts, but they're star chambers, or what you would call a kangaroo court. So that's a part of being a defensive man, a man who can protect his people. You got to know law, So I don't want to go through the whole list, but those are just examples of a vision that I had maybe when I was like 8. I remember, about 8 years old or so, and then I started to really absorb like heavily past leaders. I was fascinated by anybody who took a stand in any area, like people like even not just political figures, people like Chuck Berry, who was like or James Brown. Like these are people who counted their own money. Little Richard was another one who counted his own sales after every show. He didn't have accountants. And that was interesting to me. Chuck Berry was someone who to the day he died did not do tours. Any show that he did was always one night. He'd fly out and come right back the same day. He refused to do tours. So these different people, Burning Spear was another one that I studied. Burning Spear runs his entire operation, everything. He even reviews his own legal contracts. So all of these, and I'm just using musicians. There's a bunch of other people. Jim Brown was somebody I always had a great admiration for. But people who said, oh, this is how the system works. How has that been working out for us? Oh, it's not been working out for us. Check this out. I'm going to do this. And there was no black print or blueprint for what they chose to do prior to them doing it. That was always very fascinating, and fascinating acts of revolutionary thought and vision. So yeah, from like 8 years old, 7, 8 years old, having that vision, like, man, one day we're gonna be all right. Like one day we're gonna get them back. I could see it. Like I see it clear as day. I see us being relaxed one day and not being so screwed up and scared all the time and dumb all the time and making these really ridiculous mistakes and falling into all these traps. I could see it happening. So I want to be there. I want to be ready. I don't want to be watching it. So when it happens, I want to be a part of that change. So let me learn how to fight and let me learn how to read more effectively. Let me learn more about my history. Let me learn more about law and all in spirituality. And then as I got older and was able to do more things, let me go move to Nigeria for 3 years. Let me go see what Ghana's like. Matter of fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go around the whole continent. So let me now go to Kemet. Let me go to Ethiopia. Let me go to South Africa. Let me go to Tanzania. Let me go to Kenya. Let me go to Marrakesh. All of these different areas that I visited was all because I had this vision, and these were the components that I saw as being part of respecting and honoring what the Creator offered.
Yeah, thank you. And I the only thing that I took note of in everything you shared, well, not the only thing, but
The only thing,
no, no,
some
no.
BS,
The
man.
thing to
What kind
take
of call
note
in
of
show is this?
is that there was no negation, right? You didn't focus on what could have impeded you from taking all of those steps. Even in the way you acknowledged, how other people saw you or perceived where they perceived you could be fully successful. Oh, you could be a fantastic boxer. Oh, you can do this, you can do that. You were obedient to the vision. And so the vision was, no, that's not it, right? Um
I
and
got
you
caught up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got caught up a couple times. So just for anyone's listening, like, man, he's focused. Why I'm not focused like that?
Laser.
Yeah, laser focus, man. Brother's impressive. Nah, man, I got caught up quite a few times because um when you're a person who explores a lot of different disciplines and talents and you're good at them, then there's a lot of things thrown. I got caught up in the church for a while. Like I always say, I didn't grow up in church, but when I started going, and I was always a very quiet person. And the first time I spoke, the first lady asked me to speak for something. And I'm like, me? And she'd always, like, whenever she would speak to me, she would always make fun of me. She's like, come on, brother, you can do it. you know, um, she'd always make fun of me. But interesting enough, this was the first one to really honor my vegetarian journey when I was a young teenager. Whenever everybody would go out, like in between and after church for like McDonald's or whatever, she'd make me the same thing every time, but it was good: butter beans and rice. And she'd always bring me a plate of butter beans and rice, and here you go, brother, because I know you don't eat any meat. I didn't put anything in it. It's just you know, um, and I'd always thought that was so sweet, you know. But yeah, I spoke, and everyone was blown away. They were like, "Man, I didn't know you could speak like that." And somebody said so. It was one of the elders was like, "Shoot, you speak better than pastor." Right. I'm 15 at the time,
Oh,
right. It's like, oh, well, man, y'all get me kicked out. I'm getting
you gonna
paid to be
be in
here, man. You messing
trouble,
with my
right?
money. You messing with the money. So that took me on a journey of, like, people were now requesting me, come over, can you speak over here? Can you speak over here? I'm getting paid now to go do revivals. I'm getting, love offerings, but they were sizable offerings, and because I'm like a novelty now. And there was a time when I was praying for a vision of, what do you want me to do, God? Like, what is my purpose? And I got that, but at the same time, everyone else around me, like other young ministers coming up, and a lot of them were older than me. I was like, the young novelty, but they were like, some of their fathers were pastors. So it was like, yeah, you're going to inherit that church, or your father's going to send you somewhere like North Carolina or something. You're going to start your own church. And, they all had these hookups. Whereas I'm the Muslim guy coming in, my name Yusuf. It's like I don't even have a good churchy name. I'm clearly a Muslim. You know
That
what
is
I'm saying?
not a good Christian name.
Right. I
Okay,
don't have a
look
good
up.
Christian name. You are clearly Muslim. You mad militant. Even though they used to make fun of the way you stand. You be standing always like you about to hit somebody. Like, you know, um, and I remember there was a time when it was a prophet who came, and a good friend of mine who we're still good friends to this day. The prophet was basically telling people, like, this is what's going to happen. This is where you're going. This is where you're going. So this other crew that I was around, or I knew, some of these guys were older. They all like, you're going to do great things, and you're going to be a bishop of this and this. And I'm waiting for mine. I'm like, all right, well, I know mine is about to be crazy, because I'm fit. Wait, I'm about 16. That's what she said. I'm like, I'm already burning the streets up. I'm the hottest young minister in the city. So I know, like, my prophecy is gonna be off the heater, off the meter for Sheezy. So um, my man pulls me to the side before the prophetess even gets to me. He's like, "Come in, man." And I'm like, "Oh man, I'm gonna lose my spot in line." You know what I'm saying? I got to hear what's going on, man. You know what I mean? I'm killing it out here. So he said, "Man, sit down right here." And then he prayed for me, and then he stood me up, and he grabbed the mic, and he said, "Let me tell you what you're gonna do." He said, "You are gonna deliver people in the barbershop." He said, "Your ministry is not a church ministry. You won't be inside the churches. You'll be in the barbershops. You'll be in the pool halls. You'll be in the streets. You'll be in the prisons." And every word he's saying, I'm getting more and more deflated. I'm like, yo, this is some
Wait,
BS.
what? Right?
That sounds
Come
fun.
on.
Right. This
Touch
is,
that, yo.
are you crazy? You know what I'm saying? I'm
I
like,
want
this,
my mega church.
that's exactly, yeah. I'm like, I want somebody to bring the orange juice with the napkin on the top of it to me. That's what I want. You see what I'm saying? I want my own parking spot. All like, this is some total BS. And I'm like, and this is a good brother of mine, and he was like probably one of the most spiritual people I knew. So I'm like, I don't think this is wrong, but it can't be right because I'm preaching better than these clowns. In fact, at that time, I was writing my pastor's sermons. You see, that's the level I was at. So I'm like, this does not make sense. And at the time, I wasn't really even cutting hair that much. You fast forward a couple years later, I own a barbershop. 2 years after that, I bought a pool hall, right? And then I started going to Sing Sing prison and doing workshops and whatnot there, right? And then I'm going to all these different prisons, Kaksaki, all these different prisons around New York State, and I left the church because I was like, man, they're too soft. There's nothing militant about them. It's a bunch of harlots, we'll say, a bunch of harlots in that environment, and and pedophiles and sodomites. I'm out. You see, so that was like an example of I got derailed for a moment because I lusted after what the environment cited as being valuable. And it took a good friend to pull me to the side. He literally snatched me out of the line, and pulled me to the side and said, "Man, sit down. Because if you're going to pray for me, why do I have to sit down first?" But obviously he was being driven by a vision like, sit your butt down. You don't need to be standing up. Sit down. So that was like me being subservient, not only to the Most High, but to him, because he's an older brother, to him as my big brother. Sit down, now stand up. Then grabbed the mic and then said in front of the entire community, "You ain't gonna have no church." So yeah, there was a little moment that I would consider that a moment of like of temporary insanity, and then someone bringing me back to sanity. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that context, right? So that's encouraging for those of us who get caught up and sidelined and distracted from the vision. Peace, Ima. We see you, and yes, and we hear you.
Peace. You can hear me okay? Is it too loud?
No, you're good.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Peace, everyone. Yeah, I wanted to give my. I wanted to answer the question. Um, I'm sorry. I don't. I was. What was the question again? I
Sure.
apologize because I'm in.
Yeah, I'll share
Yeah.
it. I'll paraphrase it.
Okay.
It was, oh, okay. Can you share a vision that you
Yeah.
received recently and the steps you've
Okay.
taken to reach
Okay.
the finish line?
Okay. Okay. I would like to answer, but it may not be recent because just thinking about vision. So I would like to explain it like this, if you don't mind. We Of course we have a vision for ourselves. Well, I had a vision for myself, uh, but I'll say being in our new, you walk in with a vision of yourself, and you get this greater light. What y'all laughing at? Because I don't see any
Oh no,
comments
it
in
was
the
in the chat.
It's in the chat.
Dion's
Don't worry about it.
responding to,
You good.
yeah,
Oh,
Nobody
okay.
okay.
laughing at you, Quid. Just keep saying what you're saying out there on your search
No,
and
you
rescue
good.
team.
You
You're
good.
supposed to be out there searching for that little boy that went missing. But go on, keep talking about what you're talking about.
That's the vision you should be holding right now.
Really. Yeah. So, you know, but coming into, I knew I had a vision of how I saw myself coming in, but when you get the teaching, and that light, you talk about receiving from our heads and from our chief Jegna, your vision, I would say, expands. There's a vision that expect that you just start to see greater than what it is that you initially saw. So I would say that the I had a vision for myself as teaching, coaching, mentoring, educating, or whatnot. Um, but also we're taught to teach outside, but also help within the ministry. But one thing that was given to me was to be an elder sister, and within the house that I'm in, and that that expanded my vision. But I would even say even more, you I'm kind of flipping over my words. Usually like I can I'll write it down. So I'm really trying to process myself. But
Okay, we following
really when
you.
we think of how we envision ourselves, we don't think about the process, because of course, yeah, I could teach. I know, give me whatever I could teach, but then you don't think about the things that need to be worked within you to attain that vision. So working that out, the vision that I have, there are things that are being worked within me, are things like patience, um being gentle. Hi, doggy. Yes, yes, yes. All right, I'm on a live right now.
Oh
Hi.
my freaking
I'm
goodness.
sorry, everyone. It's a dog.
We don't know what's
Okay.
happening over there, Ema. We're about to.
I am so sorry. It was a beautiful dog that came to me. All right, I apologize.
Mm.
I'm sorry. So,
Probably because you ain't got no chaperone
yeah,
out
but
there. That's why. Came to you to protect you.
oh man,
There you go. There you
Mm.
go.
But
Dog
go on
came
with
to
your
pick.
story. I'm
you got,
listening.
Look, now she can't even
you
go
got.
on. Now she can't.
I
Come
Dog
on,
can't
came to
even
Ema.
minister to you,
go on.
dog.
Come on, Ema. You got
Came
this.
to bless you.
Oh my God, you got you at chief. Yeah, I'm dumbfounded now. Uh, yeah, no, but those are the things that are being worked within me to, attain that vision. So yeah, that answers the question.
No, it does. It does. And yeah, what it sounds like what you're speaking to is something that, Chief, I think it was internal discussion within the Anu space, but there was a question about, actually no, I think it was in a chat during a build where he inquired about, whether people understand that they may only be given that next step, and that each of those steps
Hmm.
are leading them to a much larger vision, but they're actually not
Right.
being entrusted with the vision in its entirety, and how that's even by design, right? So you may have the step right now of, well, what does it take to be a phenomenal elder sister, right? And yes, you know how to
Right.
teach, but how do you incorporate the patience and the compassion to for
Right.
for your students to receive your teaching and to carry that forward? And
Right.
so in that instance, it almost sounds like you're ready, like let me in, right? Like let me in, let me in, coach, let me in the game. And then it's like, no, 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 it's that sit down, right? No, sit down. There's
Hmm.
some other things I need you to cultivate first. And
Hmm.
that's where it sounds like, that's where, again, the obedience comes in. No matter, like, even like, you're like, yeah, I'm with the vision. Come on, let's do it. But you may not be as ready as you may think. And so is taking that next step and
Exactly.
just doing what's in that next step, which may very well be, doing your lives and stepping into the arena that way and teaching that way. It may not be that in-person one-on-one that you may be comfortable with, right? It can be coming
Hmm.
from different perspectives. I see that smile, different perspectives.
Yeah, I see. Yeah. I see you throwing it in. It's all good.
Gentle. This is a gentle,
Do what you're
gentle.
supposed to do. Do what you're supposed to do.
I try my best. I try. I don't get it right all the time. What I also wanted to touch on, and thank you all for what you shared. We went well over time, but it was definitely worth it. And Margie Marie, I'm sorry if you got kicked out. I don't know how that would have happened.
She ran off.
Do you see? I'm giving you two side eyes because I don't got my glasses on, so I'm just gonna do both. But like, don't be blaming no chief you out for kicking you out. You could come right back on in. You welcome. So
Ran
I
up
don't believe
off.
that happened. Right.
Ran up out of it. Too much light.
Good.
Too much fire.
Fire. So Ross says peace. What?
I think he's saying holdups.
The
holdups.
Oh, okay. I'm like, without my glasses, I don't know what to mean.
There was some gang talk.
Right. I was like, we hooding up? What we hooding up for?
I thought it was an exercise. I thought it was
right. I was like, we hooding up? What's the hood up? What's the...
Put me on game. Yeah.
Are the holdups beneficial to the walk towards the vision or destructive? Okay, perhaps. Oh, holdups. Okay. Oh, you wanted to be in the glasses club? Mm-hmm. No comment. I think we're all in the glasses club, but you know, I'll just say I don't know if anyone wants to answer Aki Rahim's question. I guess I'll offer my thought. I would say that those distractions those holdups can be beneficial if you're able to appreciate why it's happening or have the perspective to see perhaps why it's happening. But you may not have that unless you continue to hold the vision and to walk towards it. Yeah, I think we all experienced that though, right?
I have a thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't answer, well, my thought, when I thought about that question, it made me think about the movie that we saw last night. Summer, winter, spring, fall, spring. Oh my goodness. I'm horrible.
Couple seasons. Yeah, it's a couple seasons.
Yeah. It was like 5 seasons. 5 seasons. Around we go.
Black pepper.
Summer, fall. It's not in the correct order. But that question made me think of that movie because what I noticed is, in each of those seasons that we saw, what I noticed was they were long seasons, and there was something that the young boy in that movie obviously needed to learn, but he had holdups. He had holdups and he went way off track, and then returned and then dedicated himself, or began to discipline himself. And so that's what I thought of, like, and I would say that it was beneficial to him in a sense if he learned something, if he mastered whatever he needed to conquer, you know. And we always, we're always taught to, when we are to move in obedience, instruction, and apply things, but we also know that sometimes we go off the beaten path, and I'm not saying it's right, and that's where we learn is as well. I don't know if it's beneficial, but I do know that I don't know. There's like two sides of the coin, and so I don't know. There are things that we learn when we do, um, when those hang-ups or those hold-ups occur, and that I'm just answering for myself. I'm not answering for the brother. Okay, thanks.
And sometimes those holdups are there to keep you from either going off the path, or maybe you've already stepped off the path on your own. And the holdup is like similar to Chief's example. The holdup is like, no, before you take this turn, just stop. Just stop and reassess it. Like I remember this was back in 2001, and we were planning like a family vacation over to the States, and we were, even though we were going, there was something like a hold up with our passports. I think there's like a delay with everyone getting their visas, and around that time 9/11 happened. So the hold up, it was beneficial, but sometimes your hold up is just you. I think you may accurate Eden, the live that you were referring to might have been a Commander Day on Vision, and Chief had outlined the difference between having a vision and getting an idea, having your own idea. Yeah, idea could hold you up and take you off the path, but just getting hemmed up, like, all right, come on, like you see those cartoons that they just pick you up by your pants and just like, all right, come on, let's go. They drag you back to the path. So those are beneficial, I'd say. And you don't necessarily have to get off the path, but you do need to learn certain lessons so that when you get back on the path, you can respect it more. I would say that.
I would say that oh, you wanted to say something, you carried?
I'll go
Um
after. Thank you.
I would say that um a holdup is always problematic. For me, in my perspective, I don't think there's anything advantageous about it, because even if you're on a path and the Most High protects you, like Master Menelek's example, that's not a holdup. That's you still being guided, you still being carried. If you're on a ship or even a plane, you are subject to currents of water or currents of wind, and sometimes you have to make course corrections based on those currents. Those course corrections may take you off your schedule a few minutes or even an hour or so. It's not a holdup though. It's actually being guided with great intelligence and care. you know so I would say that the holdups are always problematic, because whenever there's a holdup, it's usually based around us not understanding our relationship to the creator. you know so when we don't understand that, how we relate in our perspective and you know our dynamic to us and the creator, then we start wanting to do things out of fear, or we start wanting to do things because we're impatient, or we start listening to other people we shouldn't listen to, or we lack faith. Oftentimes we do things because we just want to be around other people. We love the company of people, and loving the company of people is one of the greatest things that knocks us off our path. Similar in the example that I gave, I'm the only one that was told, your ministry, you're going to have a street ministry. So I'm by myself. you know um so a love wanting the company of other people a lot of times will cause holdups in fulfilling and manifesting what the creator has given you. Anger is another thing which we saw in the movie that we reviewed. Because of his anger, like he said, lust leads to possession, and possession leads to murder. you know so our desire to hold on to power, that's one of the things that leads us into kind of a path where we sit on power, we sit on leadership. You see politicians do that all the time when they steal elections. you know they're sitting on what they consider to be power. Greed is another way that it happens. Selfishness. All of these different things are what cause holdups in the manifestation. If you see yourself as a soldier, then when the soldier is given an order, your commanding officer expects you to move. Not, oh well, hold on, let me oh, my shoe feels a little funny. I got a rock in my thing. Move. You see? So if there's any sort of holdup and it's any sort of disconnect from the moment you receive your directives and the moment you act on that directives, it's going to be because you don't understand your relationship to that entity that gave you that command. You don't understand, or like I saw it put in the chat earlier, I said what I said. So when you have to say that to a woman, that's you know, I'm telling you as a man, and Yakira Eden, she can attest because it's been said to her. That's our nice way of saying, who the F do you think you are, and who the F do you think I am? That's just a sweet way of saying, you know, when you say, I said what I said. Like, I'm not saying anything other than what I just said, and me even saying I said what I said is too much, because now you're pulling me away from my work. You know, if the Most High is working this great architectural plan, as Yakira Eden, you know, had coined earlier, you know, anytime I say, okay, you go there, and I'm sending my soldiers out, and they sitting there and they're scratching their butt, not knowing, you know, acting like you don't know what to do or know if you should listen. Now I have to pull away from what I'm doing in all of this great design work to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, what are you doing? You know, and usually it's not, oh, I'm sorry, I'm gonna get going. It's usually more talk. Well, I figured I would do it this, or so and so told me I should do it this way, or I mean, I know you told me to take this and give it to this person, but you gave it to me to do. Sitting on that power, being greedy, listening to others, not having faith, you know, or I know you told me to go, but I was waiting for so-and-so. They just had to run to the bathroom real quick, and then we were going to go together, loving the company of other people. You know, so I would say the holdups are never advantageous based on those things.
Thank you. And I'm confident that that more than answers Akira's question. Yeah, and thank you for you both for like making it really plain. It's really about moving in the vision when you receive it. And yes, Master Menelek, the command that date that I was referencing was from actually it was, I'm gonna give the date. It was October. It was command day number 31, which was in October. My notes don't have the date. Oh yeah, October 12th. I do. And it was vision. And I'm actually going to and if there's more to be shared, we can continue, but I'm actually going to begin to wrap up because the charge is 1 hour, but we went beyond that, right?
What he said.
He said what he said. He said an hour. It's been 2. But let me go ahead and just read these comments. Yeah, thank you. So top tier speaker says, Rod's question makes me think about when we get knocked off the path. Some learn the lesson and get back on, and some are distracted for years. She's also not answering the question, just sharing her thoughts. So thank you for that. Let's see. Margie Marie says, absolutely. We listen to others. Oh, there we go. We listen to. Let me not push any buttons.
Absolutely. We listen to others.
No.
We try to please the vision other people have for us.
Okay. Thank you. Look out.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
We should have been reading these comments for you anyway, though.
Oh, well, I appreciate it. I'm stretching my eyes and not pushing the button because somebody else is doing that. So I was taking it off the screen while she was putting it on the screen. Teamwork. I did want to just share my closing comment, and then everyone, if you want to add something, please do.
Right, Margie Marie Art reminds me of when we get caught up in people pleasing. Top tier speaker said that. Master Menelek said, "What's worse is when the I said what I said is protested as being too harsh and direct."
There you have it.
Glasses.
Right, glasses. Let me put them on. No, I'm joking.
Nah, you don't need them joints.
Number one, they were dirty. I don't even think you can see all the, these are murky.
I took mine off.
You took yours off in solidarity. Woohoo! You know what? Well, you know what?
Yes.
She took hers off because she's hiking and she's hot. That's why she took hers off. Don't fall for that.
No, you took them up out of obedience.
No, they right here.
Said it. He said no glasses, and I knew.
She trying to start a fire with them things. That's why she out there in the wilderness trying to start a fire.
We ain't talking about no fire. That's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation.
But listen, I can see way clearly. It's easier to
Way
see without
clearly.
my glasses than with them on. Even though it's blurry, but it's nice and
You
bright.
probably
It's
fogged them
blurry,
up for
but it's
It's
clearly.
brainstorming.
clear. It's clear.
No, clearly.
It's blurry,
Way
but
clearly. I can see way
Mm-hmm.
it's
clearly.
blurry. It's blurry far away. Close up, I'm good.
That's good. So you won't see that wildcat till it get right up on you.
Right.
That's good. That way you
Oh
won't panic.
no.
So no, I'm gonna see that
Oh
coming.
no.
That sun
You
might be
see
too
me.
bright
I'm,
over there.
I'm watching left and right.
The only reason you on this
Huh?
live is because you got tired when you got to the top of that plateau.
No.
Yeah.
I
You
told
should think
myself I
about it.
was gonna get no. I told myself I was gonna get back in time to jump on. Because a
Mm-hmm.
sister got a hold of me this morning and asked when I was gonna get on. And I was like, uh, I'm going on a trail today, so I try to get on,
He
before
was
I get
like,
back.
listen, yesterday
So,
was Sabbath. Today is a day for disobedience.
Right.
I,
oh no,
yeah, I'm going out into the woods
oh my
by myself.
god.
Even though the Anu way says don't do that. You see?
Wow.
So don't come to me with no holy
Yeah.
work. Okay. I'm out here doing the work of the devil.
I'm doing the work of Jezebel right now.
Yeah.
Oh my
I'm trying to
goodness.
get into this
All right.
Jezebel character. I can really understand what Chief was talking about. You know what I'm
Got
saying?
to
Hands on.
personify
Yeah, hands on.
the Isabel.
You got me. You got me. You
But
got
we
me.
thank you for being here, and I appreciate the support for sure, Iman.
Give thanks
My
for being
pleasure.
honest.
My pleasure.
Obedience.
He said, "Give thanks for being honest with your disobedience." Listen, I'm gonna, for your sake, I'm actually going to share my closing quote, which is from the Command the Day on Vision, which was shared in the chat. And what Chief says in that I wanted to close out with is, when we're given a vision, or well, that's not it, but I'll read this one too. No,
You need a feature? You good?
no.
I got you.
When we're given a glimpse of the great vision of the Most High, we rebuff it. Well, this I read earlier, so
She
give
put
thanks.
on her glasses.
No, I did not. You can take that off this screen. It's over here in my notes. It says, when we're given a vision or a promise, it speaks to what the journey to a destination will look like. So it doesn't only show us what a destination is, but it shows what the journey is. So that actually touches on what you were speaking to, Master Menelek, the distinction between the vision and the idea. We may become excited around the vision, but then I become excited around the vision, but then I fizzle out on the actual idea tasks, like write the business plan, those sort of things. I lose
Yeah, look how quick you fizzled out right there. That's a great example of that. Yeah. she got through one example, was like,
because I'm always
I don't really need bullet points.
I don't want to write the vision, write the mission statement, go ahead and schedule it. Yeah, all the things that
all the things them
you were told to
do. Yes, and but I will say, what I've been instructed to do is to hold more keenly and more clearly the vision. That's where you garner your excitement around. It's like, I'm excited about getting to this destination. So yes, it may mean I have to go nervously do these other pieces of it. But I'm not going to do it begrudgingly, and I'm not going to do it with angst, because in so doing, you negate the instructions, right? You take away from what you're being pushed or motivated to do, and that actually becomes a distraction, which is then wasting time. So
as a woman, you can't be afraid to ask for more vision, because the vision is like you're a cup, and if I give you a vision, it puts some deposits in that cup, which gives you fuel. But if you find then afterwards that your part, which is the tactical part, that's where you fizzle out, is because you don't have enough energy from the vision. So either you got holes in your container and it's leaking, or you didn't get enough of that vision fuel to carry you through your strategy. So it's okay to say, can you tell me more about this? Even if it's not the vision, tell me more of what it looks like.
Okay.
What this, that, and that gives you more fuel. That wasn't really just for you. That's for all the sisters listening, because I know you ain't gonna do that anyway.
Of course, I will ask. I
I ain't
will.
gonna tell you. So
Right now.
I don't like being asked a whole bunch of
Putting the
questions. You know
message.
that.
I know.
So I'm talking about
That's
for
I'm
other
like,
men.
I'm like, this is a trick answer because I'm
Yeah,
not gonna
you
get no
know,
answer.
yeah, this is public information. Privately, don't ask me nothing. I said what I said. Just go do. I don't care how if you want to do it or not. I don't care if you fizzle out. Get it done by the date I said to do it. That's
I
it.
love a question. I got
Ta-da.
11 questions. I'd be like, oh, and then I had that other question. Remember in that podcast?
I don't like answering more than 2 questions a day.
In total, like not just for me.
Yeah,
right?
no, collectively, children, adults, all that. I let people know when my quota's up. That's it.
I think
See
you
you
need
tomorrow.
to check your gas gauge.
Right?
Yeah, you gotta check your gas gauge. It might be broken. So
Right.
you ask questions, you might not
You know
realize
what?
there's still stuff in the tank.
I'm
Exactly.
staying out of that one. I don't know. Mind my business on everybody's gas gauge. But
Come
for
on, hit
you,
this close. Hit this conclusion.
for you sisters, you have your feedback on how you can further get clarity on the vision. With that, I'm actually just going to say thank you to you all. I will that, through these conversations, you're able to get clarity on how you hold the vision to get to that it is finished, because ultimately that's what these segments were all about. And for those that weren't able to answer the question, you can still go into the comments and share. We have the Anu retreat coming up. Please go ahead and use the QR code to sign up for the retreat experience, which will still be in the summer of 2023. The time frame has been pushed back a bit to August so that we can allow for time for you all to let us know that you'd like to attend. Of course, the theme is kingdom culture. So you can also, if you can't scan that QR code, you can go to anulifeglobal.org and you can register there on the website. We also, I shared earlier, but we're going to put it up again just for everyone. We also have a local Red Wrap initiative happening here in North Carolina. So there's a menstrual hygiene drive that's coming up in, I was going to say October again. This is the month of May. And so it'll be May 24th and May 26th. So you can send your donations right on into the links provided. With that, I'll say thank you to Chief Yuya. Thank you, Master Menelek. Thank you, Ima Akuya. And thank you, Margie Marie, for jumping on live and building with me. And of course, thank you for all of you in the chat who also participated. Peace, everybody.
All right. Be safe, Akuya. Be careful. Yeah. Be
Peace.
Watch
careful.
All
out for
right,
doggies. Be careful.
Yeah.
Peace,
Watch out for
everyone.
little. Don't be doing
I'm
here, kitty,
almost
kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. It might be a wildcat. Okay.
That's a big cat.
Yeah. So just be careful. And there's mountain men who live up in those woods too, looking to attack people. So just be careful. Have fun. Have fun.
Boy.
You smell
Bye.
peace,
Go
peace.
home,
Thank
Ima.
you. Thank you.
Go home. That's
I'm
Peace.
nearly home. I'm
all
nearly
right.
home. This is like 5 minutes away.
Okay.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.